These talented and experienced business leaders use the internet to juggernaut their cosmetic concealer company to a mid-sized beauty company with a variety of offers designed to help women and men feel more confident in their skin.
So what do you think are some of the big challenges for the HPA cosmetics market?
In our prestige area, the challenge for us is the behemoths are buying up, so only 5 or 6 major companies own all of our competitors. We're one of the few indie brands left, and women-owned indie brand left. But the challenge, that's a great story, but the challenge is the quantity and the margins. We take a huge hit not being able to manufacture, say, 1 million pieces versus 100,000 units. And so our cost of goods is probably almost double what some of our competitors' cost of goods are.
Well,
And that's where it's tough for us to then compete with the social and digital and marketing efforts that, cost a lot of money
Yes.
in order to play in that arena. Yes, it looks like it's free, but it's all back end. It's not free at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
we're sending out products. Some
Yeah.
people do expect to get paid. I mean, it's not free. That's for sure.
Yeah.
yeah, so we're working within a much narrower margin than some of these larger companies. So we are at a disadvantage being small and independent and keeping that story. It is very challenging.
Yeah, I met
To
with
compete.
I met with a supplier yesterday and of components, and she was showing me some brushes, which we don't do much in anymore. But she had one really big set in one of those beautiful bags, and then she had a smaller set. And we were talking about who's purchasing those from her and what would the price point be. And the brushes were absolutely beautiful, and it was interesting. She said, "Well, we'd probably sell for this," and we got to that quantity conversation. And I said, we kind of had to even get out of the brush game ourselves because it was just hard to compete there, and it's not really about us too much anymore to do that. But she was saying that those items can be bought in the 500,000 to 1 million pieces from, Sue was saying, these bigger brands, where if we were doing that, we would probably be buying 10,000.
Yeah.
And she said right out, she
Or
said,
25,000
your prices,
is
she
like
goes, your
usually the
prices
number.
are so different. It's so much more when the
And
quantity is so less.
sampling as well. Like, we can usually afford to run a 500,000 piece sampling run. And our cost usually is 40 to 50 cents for a sample. If we were to run over 1 million, our cost would be 12 cents. It's an
huge
enormous, so with anything that we do. So it's harder then to get more sampling out there, which, that is key these days, is sampling. So it is all about money. Usually always is, isn't
I
it?
know, for every business, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that's
Having those
definitely
resources, yeah.
the challenge, no matter how unique your product is, no matter how unique your story is, you are competing with money.
And consumer markets are changing so much. How has the target market for your products changed since you started the company?
You feel like it has? I'm not sure it has that much. I know that everyone's, you have to market to millennials. The last 3 years, it's such a focus because of social media being, fairly recent. Like
Well, I think
4 or
people
5
talk
years.
about it more now. They're
Yeah.
differentiating Gen Z, millennials, like everybody. There's a category now for like swaths of ages. Where when we first started, that wasn't talked about that way.
Yeah.
It was just like, who do you really market to? In the early years, we said everybody. I mean, and that's still the case. But if you get back into the budget part of it, the dollars, you kind of have to pick a lane, if you will, so you can allocate more of your monies to a group of people because it just, financially it makes sense.
We live in a fast-changing digital world. Dynamic communication and social expression influence just about everything we do. Business is digital. Impact is instant. Brands and customers interact in amazing new ways. From postage stamps to packaging and billboards, HP's Graphic Solutions business is leading these transformations, creating innovative digital print technologies that enable more effective, engaging communication between brands and end users.
We actually are moving a little bit older. And it is really working for us. Again, we're going back to our roots, being the concealer expert. We have brought out more concealer products and their flankers, so primers and foundations, and our new product development, which is so exciting that Lisa handles that. We're coming out with some really cool, innovative, concealer-based, not a concealer necessarily, but in that same category, range of products. And it's really starting to funnel into back to where we started with concealer and the aging, demographics.
But the aging demographic is so young. I mean, they're so young to look at, they're young at heart. I mean, think about, if you're 50, what 50 was like even 10 or 15 years ago, not even 30 or 40 years ago, how people act, what they do with their life. I mean, people are young. I mean, they think young.
Yeah.
They do things that are, and I don't think it's that they're being silly. I just think that's how people really feel. I mean, I know that's how I feel. I mean, I'm over 50 and my brain, I'm still like 27, but I don't feel like I'm that number. I don't feel like, and I'm not saying I don't look like that, but in my head, I still feel like a young individual.
Not that we want to look like we're 27. If you feel that way, that's good. But yeah, I don't.
I
don't
work
feel,
out and do CrossFit, so I'm
feel
sore
my
all the
age
time. But I don't know if I feel like that.
We try. But I do think we have a lot more energy as 50-year-olds, and not that we're marketing to just 50-year-olds. It's just that we're moving from the 18 to 35 and up to, we're taking that switch to 30 and up. And that is, we're really seeing an enormous momentum in our business by doing that and not focusing on the millennials. The millennials will be there soon enough. So,
yeah, we all know that.
Yes,
we can remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the millennials, they want to, they're on YouTube, and a lot of them are, they're really either watching YouTube, or some of them are even on YouTube, and they're very into customizing and learning more about how products, how to apply and how they work, what the ingredients are, and we really support that. It's just that as you get just a little bit older, things in your life change for not all of us, but a lot of us. You might start having children. Your career is probably developing even more. You just do get busier, but you still want to look. You just want to have that confidence. You want to look good. So,
and that's where we really can target.
Yeah. So
And
our products are
that's how we
easy
started.
to buy them. They're easy to use.
Exactly.
You don't have to watch
It just
tutorials.
fits right
and-
exactly where they're going to need it, and it makes sense. So it's much easier to market to
But we're still
30 plus who are having
But I
kids.
think we're still trying to talk to other people, because we did come out with some contouring, because even I like to contour sometimes. It's not just for a 25-year-old.
Yeah, we watch those YouTube videos. Just they're fun to
They're
watch.
fun to watch.
And you learn.
Oh,
and
God.
makeup's changing all the time, and I love to go and watch some of the celebrity makeup artists that we work with. They're just,
Amazing.
If they could just do me, I would just love it.
I
What
know.
they
And there was, even though, we started the company kind of because of the internet, and why wouldn't people be doing videos? They really just weren't. So, we were still having to, all of us, pick up a magazine, and they're talking more about how to apply product. You're reading text, you're not looking at that many visuals. So I think when we all could start doing that, it was super exciting, and it's really fun to watch. Regardless, I think, of your age, but I just don't see a lot of people our age spending hours or
No.
1 hour a day or 5 hours a week watching videos like that. Unlike, say we each have kids in their 20s. They really do a lot of that, and they love it.
Yeah.
But we do spend a lot of time in our age range on Facebook looking at pictures of family, and that's some place that you've started some new efforts with your marketing campaign.
Definitely, Facebook has become a focus as we've moved our age focus a little bit older. Facebook is a wonderful tool to market to, the women who really could use, exactly what we are.
Well, and to Linda's point with being already on there, looking at friends, what are friends doing, what are their children doing, people posting pictures of their own kids. So that's definitely very much of our demographic.
I think the common denominator, though, is that women, are aging, but they're doing what they can to combat that. And not everyone's running to the plastic surgeon or ready to get injections. They're just doing whatever they can, organically, working out a lot, eating healthy. Healthy lifestyle is just enormous with the 30-year-olds. My nieces are all 30, and that's huge with them. They're not heavy makeup wearers, but yet they want to look polished and put together, and they don't have a lot of time. And we fit right in with them. So, we can help people with a couple tips and tricks on keeping yourself looking a little bit younger, a little bit like you got your 8 hours of sleep, even though you didn't. And, helping you walk out the door with confidence, even if you're just going to the grocery store, going to a soccer game, wherever you're going, if you're going to work.
How much of your go-to-market strategy is brick-and-mortar retail, like Nordstrom's and Ulta? How much is direct-to-consumers through your internet site? Do you do anything with mobile? And how do you link your social to sales?
I would say it's taken a major turn.
Oh,
we're not in Nordstrom anymore.
Yeah.
They did incubate indie brands back in the day, and the business model is didn't change, and we just none of the indie brands could really survive, so we didn't. But Ulta and Sephora have really helped the smaller brands, and that was that phase. And I think now we're out of that phase, and I think the bricks and mortar are great for. We have to stay in them. We are in them.
And they're changing too. They're realizing. They're adapting to.
You have to be multi.
The
You
mobile
have to be omni.
consumer. Yeah.
You have to.
More and more, you go into a bricks and mortar, and they'll have iPads there. They'll be able to address a person that's working off of their own mobile, and they'll have different stations, representing that. So they're trying to be nimble because they're seeing what's happening. Sadly, a lot of stores are closing.
Yeah.
But I really believe, and so do other people in business, that not just beauty, bricks and mortar can survive. It just has to look and feel different. It just has to address the needs of a mobile. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that, bricks and mortar really aren't going anywhere. People will argue that because sadly, a lot of stores are closing, but I think that they are just having to adapt and be nimble to the change and how technology has changed really the way we all live, the way we work, the way we shop. And I'm reading about, and I'm kind of seeing even some small stores where they're really adapting, and they're making, Sue said earlier, it to be more of an experience versus kind of running in and grabbing something. Even if you don't have a lot of time, it's just more sophisticated in how people are shopping. And young people, it's almost how they grew up, so they're going to expect that. I can't imagine like a 16-year-old walking into a kind of an old school department store and feeling comfortable there at all.
Yeah.
So
we're very excited about it.
Yeah.
Right?
And they're probably shopping off their phone anyway.
Yeah.
But there's still people that are going to want to go somewhere and shop, because I don't think we're ever going to not want to have that experience of shopping and doing it in person, and for many of us. So how can you make it so that people are getting other needs satisfied? And I do think that it is involving the technology in that bricks and mortar place.
Yeah.
Because we've learned that we're really growing our direct to consumer, and we're going to be redoing our website this summer. It's a big push for the company. We really want to embrace that. We've been talking about it for a couple of years, so that is coming. So we recognize how important that is, because that'll be a vehicle where we can talk about ourselves first and foremost, without it being diluted even by a retailer, which they're not doing anything to be negative. It's just that who can speak in the most positive way and with the most knowledge about a product, as is the company who makes, who is that brand. and with our own, I mean, we're doing it now as we can with social media, but I think really improving on and growing, building our website into really who we think we are today will be, it's just a great channel for us. But, the bricks and mortar, I completely agree. I mean, people are going to always want that experience if they're changing to the needs of today.
Yeah. Well, you have to offer, in all different channels. So you can't be 100% bricks and mortar. You can't be 100% internet anymore. You have to be everywhere, and maybe pepper yourself in as many places as you can. We're on QVC. We're in, probably 1,000 bricks and mortar stores. We could be in 3,000 or 4,000. We can't manage that many at this size. So it's better for us to be in a smaller amount and be able to manage those, so we can, hand touch people, because people still want that touch. As digital as we are, as text friendly, I think the majority of people do want the one-on-one.
Well, they're
personal
surprised
touch
when
still.
we have people here and they'll literally call somebody back and have a conversation, and they're surprised that happens.
Yeah.
And we're proud of that.
Yeah, our customer service just rocks. It's great. Yeah.
You know what I find fascinating too? I've read about a lot of startups that have begun on the internet, and they're just, that's their platform, and then they're deciding, oh, now I'm opening up a bricks and mortar. I just find that to be very interesting.
Yeah.
And I was reading, I can't remember the name of the brand, I probably wouldn't say it if I could, but talking about some company, and they were saying how fascinating it was that they were digital first and then going into stores, and I thought, Sue and I did that in 2000. Like, we were only
Been there,
internet.
done that.
Like, my God, and we joke
Yeah.
because neither of us were very into technology.
That
or,
wasn't strategy. That was just like
I wasn't going to open up a
Yeah.
bricks and mortar, damn it, It just was not in our game plan.
Yeah. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, but I find that to be interesting that there are now people that have started and been successful online, and they're recognizing that there's still value to having a physical spot where someone can come if you're going to give them that experience that they want.
Something is happening. The familiar barcode is touching everything. Every surface, every sound, every image. Imperceptible to you, yet it's clear to sensors like your smartphone. All things have become their own channels. This is the engine driving the Internet of Things. This is Digimarc.
But even your headquarters, you show a commitment to bricks and mortar,
Yes,
because
that's true.
I was surprised to see that you had a studio and you have a store at the front of your headquarters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we
it's
first
that,
opened,
it's that touch
Yeah.
that people still,
Yeah.
they're not sitting in a department store aisle where a lot of people walk through and you're kind of embarrassed,
Yeah.
and they can come here, no one sees them, they have privacy, and they get the one-on-one experience. And we still have a lot of consumers that's what they're looking for, that's what they want, and that's what they need. And they might repurchase on the internet, they might not. They might always come to the store. It's incredible. So you have to appeal to all different shoppers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we made a commitment even to the company when we established this kind of building and the community, and I know people have talked to us for years about, why didn't you ever move to New York or even the West Coast? And we said, well, there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's family first, and our family's here, and we felt that we could manage it. And I'm sure we've talked about there's times when we probably could have excelled in some areas if we were in a different location. I mean, you just have access
Just
and
networking abilities, yeah.
But it was a decision we made, and we've never regretted it.
Yeah. On the subject of appealing to many different people, you also have to appeal to different medias with your messaging, with your package design even. And I'm showing my roots here. I know this is Brand Experience Magazine. We're talking all about branding and marketing, but as you both know, I have a great love for package design as a marketing and branding tool. How difficult is it to create package designs that can work on the retail shelf, work on the internet, and also work on the shelf that is, the consumer shelf that is being shared on social media?
I think a lot of thought has to go into how do things operate actually in your hand? How do they deliver a formula? How are they going to represent your brand on social media? Is it going to fit into your gondolas if you're out there in bricks and mortar? So you do have to be thinking about all that. But over the years, you meet a lot of companies that supply components, and it's just the cacophony of options is absolutely incredible. And I tip my hat to these companies that just continually seem to be innovative. Again, I talked earlier about meeting with somebody yesterday. They're a beautiful brand. They're headquartered in Paris. They have the most beautiful componentry. And we were having these conversations about the people, like I said, what are they called? Like a technical designer, and there's this guy and that guy and this woman, and how they even like start thinking about product and their product componentry. But it goes back to us talking about like what's our color story, then down to what's the image, how is it easy to hold in your hand? Does it make you feel good? Does it feel like it's a luxury product? So there's so much to think about. But I think what helps us is once we identify, we know who we are, then you go to these resources and you just start. It's like you could be a kid in a candy shop. We were working with a product development consultant, and her and I were in New York. We were in a showroom of one of these well-known companies, and her and I, it was like we were in Tiffany of componentry, and they were smart. I mean, they had the beautiful lighting, they had the beautiful brick walls,
offices.
And we were just getting crazy with the actual components and how beautiful they are. And though going a little bit back to our issue with still being small, you want so much more, and you want to give your customer these beautiful, luxurious product items. I mean, we know the formulas are amazing, but that's been a challenge for us to
because your
come up.
packaging can be your marketing.
But it becomes an affordability issue once in a while. I want to give them this. I want to give it to them in this component. It's just the margins aren't there. So I have to kind of go over here and find a compromise. So we do quite a bit of that. And we're pretty happy with what we come up, we land with. But there's been times when I want that one so badly, and we just can't make the numbers work. So that's kind of tough.
That doesn't happen that
No.
often.
Because we can usually find, like I said, a compromise.
And
so
many
much out there.
times you'll fall in love with a component, but it's still under exclusivity with somebody who's paid for the patent or whatever, so you can't have it for a while. So that happens as well. But that's kind of opening up a little bit. That's not as bad.
I saw something yesterday. It was a beautiful jar, and it was for like a loose powder, but at the top of the jar was a divot, and in there sat a beautiful brush, but the brush had a lid on it, and then of course we had a brush like this years ago. It's retractable, but within the divot where it sat, its little home on the top of the cap, it was magnetized so that brush would never slip out.
Click. You heard that click.
It was heavy in a good way. And there was I won't say the brand, it was a very well-known company, but they had the patent on that. Like, well, I don't blame them. I mean, it was fabulous. I would do the same thing.
So eventually we might get there someday, right?
'Cause to your point, it is a big part of your marketing.
PrintPack, converting vision into value. At PrintPack, we believe in creating packaging solutions that deliver positive results for your brands. Collaboration at the very beginning of a new product or package design venture is the key to success. Our innovation approach combines your vision with our knowledge of consumer trends to create packaging that enhances your brand and drives your success.
Our goal is to have them educated and knowing before they walk in the store, before they come to our site, that they know they want us. So they want the formula. But
That first
you
impression
definitely
sometimes,
have to. You're only as good as your first impression.
So we never,
right?
we really don't go for it. We can't go for the least expensive, and sometimes we can't go for the most expensive. But we'll work really hard to get as close to that. And we've given up often, some profit to be over here. Because
Quality
it's just worth it.
is first and foremost for us in formulation, in our ingredients, and in our packaging. So we do the best that we can within our budget range with quality. And we, like Lisa said, we will give up margins.
You just kind of have to.
We'd rather give up margins over quality. So, it's not always dollars and cents in this, you
Because
know,
I think
luxury
you're
beauty.
going to lose that customer if you don't bring out a quality product, and there
Yeah.
you go, you've ruined it anyway. You
Yes.
lost out on that.
Yes, and definitely sometimes the packaging, the experience with the packaging can make or
Oh.
break the experience with the product inside if you
Absolutely.
can't
Right.
get it out easily,
Right.
or,
Yes.
or there's
And
definitely
we've had a
quality
few
issues.
problems like that, and it's just kind of devastating.
It is. We can't. It's
hard
we're
for
not
us
big
to
enough
bounce
to handle
back
that.
from that.
And we've all also bought product because of the packaging and get it home, and the product inside just really disappoints.
That's
so
true. So it's not always the
that
outer
would
packaging.
really upset us
Yeah.
if that ever
Yeah.
if we ever found that somebody was disappointed in our products.
Well,
We
and in
just-
all the years, I mean,
we
it's
take
so
that to heart.
seldom, and we really kind of are
Yeah.
proud of that. You know, even in a world where people are, they're just going to like do it to do it, but we don't get knock on wood a lot
No.
of that at all. People are pretty happy,
yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
loyal.
Mhm.
It's really great.
And you mentioned that you redesigned the packaging for your original concealer.
Yes.
So maybe we could talk a little bit about that, and then
Do you want to go through that,
Sure.
Lisa? Lisa took care
So
of that one.
yeah, we had what I would say would be kind of a a standard tube, and this has a little safety seal on it. So let me just yeah. Okay, so obviously we have the safety seal, so you're the first person to use it. But
yeah.
in the past, we had a tube
They
that
have
just
an
had
old
a
tube.
we had just a regular opening. The orifice it would just have kind of landed right here, and we all get used to it, and I don't think people overly minded, but you would definitely have to either take the product out and put it on your hand, or
Yeah,
because it
here's
was
the old tube.
Okay, so this
Okay.
would be helpful.
Yeah.
So, what I would do, I still actually
With
have
the
one of
safety
these.
seal,
yeah,
but yeah.
but you could push it up, your product, because it's so thick and pigmented, it doesn't really, it's not liquidy.
It's not gonna,
So it kind of
run
sits
out.
there in a nice pin dot, and then I would take my concealer brush, because that's the way I like to do it, and I'd dab a little bit, and then I would put it on my skin, and I would use my finger to blend, and that was all well and good for a lot of years, but people felt like it was a little bit of a process. You have to do this, you have to find somewhere to put it, you have to either your finger or a brush, and etc. You're on an airplane, you're going to land soon. It's getting a little complicated. So when we went to this new tube, it's just much easier to manage, because
It's
you
an
can
applicator
you
to
can
face.
actually go right. So
oh wow,
It's
Yeah,
very
and it's not
easy to use, yeah.
letting bacteria
Right.
in.
right, you can
Where
still, if you so choose,
bacteria-
put it out and do the whole.
Yeah, if you have a pot,
Shebang.
you're going to be entering bacteria every time you use your finger.
yes,
Even, off this, that's why we like the brush. We have an antibacterial brush. This is direct to
Right.
face applicator without the bacteria
Yeah.
exposure.
And it's
which
just
is really cool.
it's a little bit of a nicer quality.
a sterling head. Yeah.
Sleeve, and then we put a shade window in so that we could, people could kind of see what was going on with that, what the shade is, instead of having, a sticker on and so forth. So it's definitely an improvement to what we've had for many years, and I think it's in the marketplace in QVC, but it'll be probably out next year for more people to enjoy.
With a pepper in,
Yeah.
take the place.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then we may eventually even go to a dark gunmetal gray. We're kind of talking about
Yeah.
that, like a luxe gray. As
Or-
much as we love black, it's been a long time, and there's a lot of black out there. So we're just playing around with some colors that aren't really deviating from really what we've been doing, so that if things are on shelf at the same time for a while, it's not a big, change. Where
Yeah, we
people are,
can't
like, reaching
clear it all
for-
and
yeah, we
start
can't do
fresh
that.
and new. We're just,
Yeah.
we have to just pepper it
Yeah.
in.
But that was
Yeah.
interesting,
So-
because this people I met with yesterday, she said, "Oh, let me give you my new business card," and it was, they're a company that, like, all their binders and all their stuff is black, and then their name is white or something. Well, her business card was white with like a very soft gray and almost like a rose quartz.
So they changed too.
So she said it's cleaner, it's more modern. I said it's interesting because we're trying to get into like this soft but luxurious gunmetal gray, and we talked about black being, very makeup artistry, and very sophisticated. I mean, we all kind of love it, but maybe there's a little bit of a kind of a tiring of it. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting how they're going that route. We're trying to kind of do
Yeah.
something as we can
You
go.
can't stay put. You have to constantly, make some tweaks and changes in everything,
Oh, yeah.
every aspect
Freshen it up.
of your business, and to stay relevant.
Well, hence the
And-
website refresh. I mean, that's part of this as well.
Yeah, to stay new to your new consumer. That a lot of
Yeah.
people don't know about us
That's
yet,
right.
and you know,
Yeah.
or you know, just to your regular consumer just want them to keep coming back to you. Is they don't feel like they're buying like, oh yeah, it's the same look from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, that they feel like they're, oh, look at this new tube.
Yeah.
Oh, look at how, you know.
Yeah.
So they'll get excited to buy it this time when they see this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that a lot with Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Right.
Yeah, they made they made a little bit of change with every, every few months with their products. So on shelf, you maybe didn't realize it was changing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it was a very different brand identity, but it was still Kraft macaroni
It
and
wasn't
cheese.
done overnight. People were kind of shocked by it. Yeah.
They didn't change the taste. They didn't change the the
Plus,
ingredients.
especially something like that, it's kind of a beloved, iconic product, and I just don't. And like you said, maybe there are new people coming to it, but a lot of us are familiar with it. So I think there would be kind of a jolt to the system if they did something like that overnight.
Yeah.
And financially, even for a large company like that, I think that would be really challenging, regardless.
Yeah.
Definitely. And customers who have been using your concealer
Oh,
from day
they'd
one.
be
Oh, yeah.
very upset if we changed this formula.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Instead,
we've
like
added some new.
the update of the packaging. I mean,
Right.
who wouldn't? Yeah. Especially
Right.
if it's going to be an improvement on the old.
And this is a fun, kind of out of box for us packaging, but we just fell in love with it and had to have it. It's one of those like we saw it on the shelf. It's like
Yeah.
gotta have that one.
And
So
a little expensive. Like
did we find the packaging before the formula, or did we have?
Yeah, I think on
think
a
the
stick.
packaging
Well, we
might have
talked
come
about a
first with it.
stick formula
Yeah.
delivery, and then we saw the packaging, and yeah.
So it's just on shelf. It just pops on our gondola, and the formula is just
Kind
beautiful.
of a relief from all the black.
Yeah, it's super creamy. It's a little bit backed off in pigment than the Amazing Concealer, but it's still just the most beautiful product, and we really pride ourselves on this one too. So this is up for a lot of awards, which we're really excited about. So
Congratulations.
It's
Yeah,
an easy way to
thanks.
use. Again, when I was talking about
Yeah.
travel, it's a lot less cumbersome
Right.
than, not to knock the tube, we love it,
right,
but,
and
it's
for
really
somebody
easy to
who's
use.
maybe not as makeup artistry as this might require, which we're trying to. We think it's simple, but this is like as easy as it comes. Right?
Yeah.
So,
And it
can't
feels
get any
heavy,
easier
like
than
it
that.
really feels like luxurious in your hand.
Yeah.
And it's definitely social media ready. Like I could
isn't it?
Instagram ready.
I know.
Take a picture.
Yeah.
That is
So
one of the
it's-
challenges our social media team has experienced working with a brand like ours is we don't have all the eyeshadows and the lip colors and so they're always trying to find ways to how do you make complexion type products, even primers that are clear, exciting. You want the person like on your Instagram feed to be gravitated towards it. So like they have their work cut out for them sometimes.
Yeah,
Well, a hot
definitely.
pink package really does
Right,
does the
If
job.
we can
there.
help them with that aspect of it, yes.
We literally took a look at that. We're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
We have to. We're making a product for that. We have to have that component. So that's pretty funny.
I know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
so it's
that worked out.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like the Line Smoother primer in the silver box. and
Yeah,
we
this
have-
is beautiful.
And that we have like roller balls on the applicator head. So we're trying to add skincare like benefits to really all of our products, and to do things with like this has a massaging
I
capability.
mean, that just
so
is a beautiful tube as well. And then this has the roller ball.
yeah.
You
It
know,
feels really good. on the
It's
skin.
cooling on the skin. It
You can
helps
put
to
it in the
stimulate.
refrigerator and it feels
Stimulate
wonderful.
your, your skin under eyes. So, that is out of the box for us as well. So we're, these are two of our newer products, and we now can afford to go into more upper scale packaging component than we could have afforded before. So we're definitely moving in that direction, which is, we love them.
Yes, and they are within your branding, so they look like as
Yeah.
Amazing Cosmetics, but
Exactly.
they're different enough where if you're traveling,
Yeah.
you can pull them out of your makeup bag
And then our
really
new
easily.
component, right. So you can see the trend there versus our old component.
Yeah.
The old tried and true. So definitely.
And with the applicators, is that is new for the product line, because that's so smart to think about
Yeah.
how can we make application
Yeah.
easier and better.
Yeah. definitely. To deliver the product in maybe a unique way, but that one that actually works. I mean, there's a lot of applicator heads that just wouldn't make sense for us, but they're cool to look at. But I'm like, it just doesn't. It's a disconnect. But this totally connects with this product.
Yeah, exactly.
The cooling and the stimulating is what you'd want in a line smoother primer. So that makes sense. You wouldn't want a roller head with a concealer. That would probably not quite work. I'm not seeing that yet. Who knows? Maybe we'll think of something, but
you know, when I was looking at some of this stuff yesterday, we were coming out with a product next year, and we had chosen the component for it, and it was rather pricey, and it had a really beautiful tip, one of these metal type steel cooling tips, and we kind of ran the numbers and said, we something's got to change here. We can't afford that component. So when I met with some of the people yesterday, we talked about that, and she presented something new, but it's the same sleeve, it's the same body, but it's a different head, and it's one step, I'm gonna say down, but it's just a different. It's still a steel, but it's a little different, and so it makes this product it'll still be a luxurious component, but it allows us to be able to not increase the price for the consumer, but the formula inside doesn't have to change at all. We don't have to compromise on the ingredients.
Yeah.
So all we had to do is change the tip a little bit, and that's just having a conversation with your suppliers and telling them this is what our needs are, this is why I need to make a change, and then they show you some other options, and it's really it's as beautiful of an option. It's just a little bit different than what we were going for at first.
It's all about
those things.
Experience too, is the experience you get in opening up our packaging and putting the products on your face and how you're applying the products on your skin. It's all about the experience these days. I think that's changed from 20 years ago.
I agree with that.
So
people cared about it as much.
No, I don't think they
all
didn't
loved
care.
to be pampered.
They wanted the formula back then. Now it's so much more.
And the use of applicators, is this a market trend that you're seeing in the cosmetics industry?
I'm definitely seeing it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So shoppers, is this being driven by shoppers or by the industry and the innovation that's coming in the industry?
I would say that some of it started, in my opinion, with some of the skincare products that are out there. I think people were, and then the devices became very popular, so I think they kind of converged with people wanting these interesting, devices that they could buy and do some treatment at home, and those tended to have some unusual, heads on the actual device, and I think people thought about, well, how can I do something like that on a smaller scale via my packaging piece, and so came all these rollerball heads and, Xanax tips, and, I saw several things yesterday that were brand new to me, and they are actually brand new to the market, customized by this particular company, and it's pretty fascinating.
This is a product. It's about 3 years old for us, and we definitely skewed it younger. It's a $23 price point, and it's the self-sharpening, which again, with the convenience and ease, as well as just being a super, super creamy formula, which is, key to anything that we bring out, is it's got to take on the same texture as your skin, yet do its job that it was meant to do, whether it's conceal, whether it's to highlight, or a darker shade contour. These are, kind of a unique for us, a little out of the box for us as well. But I'd say moving forward, we're definitely looking more at a component such as this with the, this just works so well with
it feels good.
Our products and delivering the skincare.
Well, I think what you said earlier in terms of product, the application of your product, even if it's for a few seconds, into a little bit more of an experience than just slapping it on and go to the next product and get out.
And we're all looking for, to look younger, look more awake, to combat some of the signs of aging, and that's what these little tweaks that you can do to your packaging can really help deliver the product for that.
Yeah, definitely. It's more about delivering the experience. So you want to deliver this experience, this luxurious experience, as well as a luxurious product. And it's interesting that you mentioned about the skincare elements of the makeup, and we see this a lot in the industry. And I think a lot of that is wonderful when I think about when I was younger and I was told by my mother, you can wear makeup once in a while, but you can't wear it every day because it's so damaging to your skin. And now we have products that young people can use every day, and it actually improves their skin.
Right.
Yep. And we have a couple of young people here, and they're very, very interested in preventative products. And
If social media didn't do that for them, they
much
don't
more
they stay
so
out
than
of the
we were.
sun.
Yeah.
They're so much better than
Oh
we
yeah,
were.
and making sure they buy products that have some ingredients that are good for you, and I kind of,
Why
kudos
waste
to
your
them.
money on something that's going to give you one, one purpose? You have to do you've got to function and deliver more than one thing. So just a color product isn't good enough anymore. The consumer wants a color product that's going to help her look younger, help her with taking care of her skin, give her sun protection possibly,
vitamins,
whatever it
botanicals,
is,
and
it's
this
going to
and that,
deliver more than just that color on her skin. She's demanding more.
Well, unfortunately,
from her
more and
product.
more labs, they're hearing that, and they're they're kind of procuring the raws from different places in the world that can do those kinds of things, and they're formulating and even bringing products to us. I mean, I think the way we've usually worked is that we think about what we need and we go to a formulator, but they certainly will sometimes come to us and say this is what we're working on, and there's been some times when we weren't overly maybe thinking about a product like that, but someone's put something in front of us that's been so impressive that, I mean, that happened years ago. We were probably in business for 1 or 2 years, and someone showed us the loose mineral powder foundation, and
Which we had tried others, and they were very drying on the skin.
kind of felt coarse.
Yeah,
maybe.
but this, somebody showed us one that was
Like, we weren't even going to bring this
soft
product
and
out,
jet
but now we have
milled
to have
and
it. Yeah.
worked with your skin, and we're like, oh, okay, well, we have to have it. It's going to be named Velvet. We knew right then and there.
If you overthink things, you may get it stuck, and you just really don't ever kind of get past the talking phase.
We laugh because I think it was a couple years into it. We were talking to somebody up high, I don't even know who it was, and they're like, you actually just called that person? We're like, well, yeah, why wouldn't we? We just didn't, we just went and called people. They're really nice and they talk to you. And we just called Cindy Crawford. We just call people. We called Nordstrom Corporate and they answered. And we just talked to them.
It's a little dogged.
You can
you
overthink it and
push it,
and
but,
let fear. But, people will pick up the phone and talk to you most of the time. And if you just are nice and pleasant, they usually help you out. And people were like, you really, really just called them? I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't we? So we just didn't know that to be frightened or to be shy about that, I guess. We weren't really overly bold. We just were like, well, okay, well, let's just call them. It was just no big deal. So I think you just have to jump in.
Yeah.
And if you really truly feel like you have something that no one else has, something special, which we did. We really, the Amazing Concealer is our first product, and this is the new packaging. But, there was no one was focusing on concealer at the time. It was like, oh, by the way, we have a concealer. It's in 3 shades. It's just maybe kind of like our foundation. And we knew that a concealer should be different. It should be the first product, your go-to product in your kit. And it was a white space that other companies, the bigger behemoth companies, weren't focusing on. So we snuck in there. And, we formulated this. It's the same formulation. It's with the same formulator for the last 18 years. And we've grown up with that formulator, as a matter of fact. And it still, to this day, delivers exactly what we want. It gives you the skin that you wish you had, without anyone knowing that you have anything on. And that is the goal of everything that we produce in our company, is we don't like the full mask of makeup. We want your skin to show through. We want you to look like you, but only better, with confidence, not like you've got a mask of makeup on. Yeah. So this still does it for us. We are the first company to really to be a concealer-focused company, and we still are. Concealer was not a category 20 years ago. It was within the face and foundation category. And so even statistics-wise, you could not get concealer sales statistics till 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, and concealer is now a category on the major websites, and maybe 3 years ago that started happening. So what we found works best for a concealer formula, what we were looking for was the amount of pigment, which means its concentration of a color. And when we're into less is more with all of our products, we don't want you to waste product. We don't want you to put too much on your skin. So you need, in order for it to actually cover, you need, a higher pigment load. So high pigment load, it had to blend and work and move with your skin. So it had to take on your skin texture. And then the shades. The shade range is extremely important because if you have the wrong shade, you're going to see it on your skin, correct? So we start with a peach base because all of us start with a peach base, no matter how fair to how dark we are. We have that peach undertone. So if you start with a yellow base or start with something too pink, it's going to turn ashen and show on your skin. So we start with a peach and then we move it one way or the other to match, and we have 20 shades. So we match every skin tone. You should try and match your skin tone with something so pigmented. It's not as forgiving. Other products of ours aren't as high of a pigment load. They're more of a tinted moisturizer or a concealer that is more hydrating, that's not quite as pigmented. That's a little more forgiving, and you don't have to quite come as close. But when you have something that high in pigment, you got to match it for it to look natural, and that's our goal.
And I think we started with 5 shades, then 7, we went to 10, and then we grew to 20. As the world becomes more globalized, we realize that with the internet, you're speaking to everybody everywhere.
Yes.
So as much as there can sometimes be a demographic that is probably the bulk of our shades, like maybe in the middle range, we just felt like it was really important to us not to forget about, as much as we could, really every skin tone out there
to offer. Right.
Yeah.
A shade for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and
we pride ourselves on that. Yeah.
And we were doing that even before really any brand that I know of.
Right. And we were doing HD before HD.
Anybody knew it
because
besides these
real
guys
life is HD. I see you're in HD. There's no filter on you, right? There's no filter if you're outside in the sun. Right. We're all HD. That's real life. So again, that's what we believe is that we want to see you. We don't want to see your makeup. Maybe a fun lipstick or a fun eyeshadow if that's what you choose, but foundation and concealer, you really don't want to see it. You want to see good skin, right?
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Definitely. And I am blown away by the idea of 20 shades of concealer, especially I'm multi-ethnic, and I know that when I was starting to use makeup, they would have the hardest time. They'd be like,
like light, medium, dark, or maybe one more shade in between the very light and the light.
And you have to work within their constraints, right? You have to make their product work for you, which sometimes you have to blend or do something.
Yeah, and we have a lot of makeup artist friends, and they are comfortable with blending, but that isn't the everyday person that has that comfort level. I think it's changing a little bit where so many, the millennials, they're very into, kind of customizing their own product, and that's great, but I think there's a whole demographic of people that still just, they don't want to do it, they don't want to learn how to do it, they don't have the time to do it, so
it's too much,
we want
so
to make
they don't
it
do
easy.
it. Right?
Exactly.
It's like, too much to deal with, so I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Where we're teaching women that it can be very, very quick and easy, a couple steps, and you can be out the door, and it really helps your confidence. So that's what we're also here, we're selling confidence. Yeah.
Definitely. And it's a smart way of thinking about it because I think oftentimes as women we go to the beauty counter, we find something that we love, it's a complicated process, we say, oh, we can fit that in, it's only a few minutes, and that lasts for 3 weeks, and then you stop. And again, it's becoming more like you say about confidence. It's when you have a camera everywhere you go nowadays.
Where we've changed people's lives, and where they felt that their flaw on their skin, which probably not too many people could see, but to them, it made it, impossible to walk out of the house. And with our product, taking care of that without sitting on top of the skin without anyone knowing that it's been taken care of, they can walk out the door with confidence, and it's incredible. The emails we get all the time still.
It's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of a sensitive subject because you're
Yeah.
concealing something. How do you market that idea? How do you get that idea of like you but better out there in a way that's sensitive to everyone and and everything they have to offer?
Because I think we talk more about, we like to say enhancing versus covering up. When essentially sometimes, yes, you are covering up, but we hope that then, back to what Sue was saying earlier, if somebody really has a problem with, a skin imperfection, and they're maybe seeing it more than other people, once they can eliminate that in some fashion, their confidence level is just boosted by, such a degree that they can then go out and do the things that they want to do that satisfy their life. And it sounds like that's a lot of big things to say, but based on the responses that we've gotten over the years, we'll have people talk to us about sometimes some serious skin issues, and then minor. But when somebody really does come to you and says, I haven't really left my house much because I have vitiligo, or I was burned, or I have terrible acne, and
sometimes
your
it's
product
not even
is the
that
first.
major, though,
yeah, it's
too,
not.
you
But
know,
but you
but-
have that level,
Yeah.
and they're then able to actually leave their house. And then you have the other end of the
Yeah.
spectrum where people
Right.
we would probably all say, I don't really see anything. But it can cripple people sometimes.
It can.
So in their minds, it can be, more bigger than it really is. So
Yeah.
going back to the confidence piece, if product can do that for people, I mean, we're all for it.
Yeah.
It's great to say you shouldn't feel that way. Is that being vain?
Yeah.
Don't want to think that we should have to think about it that way, but people do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stop that.
Concealer was not even a well-used product or term 20 years ago. It just wasn't really thought about. It wasn't the sexy purple eyeshadow or the beautiful fuchsia lipstick, or so it wasn't the fun product to go and spend your money at the counter on. But we felt just not waking up with perfect complexions, and not that we have major flaws, but we definitely need makeup. And we felt that most consumers, or a lot of consumers, were just like us, where we want to look like that girl that woke up with perfect skin, and we didn't. And so that is, I think, the way we started talking to people is how we started relating our product to them, and they completely grabbed onto it right away. And especially the celebrity makeup artist, when we started sending out the product to them, and they were like, oh my God, you're making our life so much easier. This is exactly what we've been looking for. And their little community, it just spread like wildfire. And that's why we got in with Demi Moore, on the InStyle piece. That was our first piece. I mean, it was from the, what was the television, the Charlie's Angels
movie.
Full Throttle movie.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, that was our first television or
But it
film
does
that
go
we were
back to
used
that whole
on.
community of people, those professional makeup
Yeah.
artists, just like Sue said, they just
Yeah.
really gravitated towards the product. A couple of them in the early years, they kind of worked with us on
Yeah.
color theory and getting that part of it right. And besides, of course, then using it on their clients and then passing it around to their peers. I mean, they were a very generous group of people that to this day will come across a product and then they will share it with a colleague instead of keeping that to themselves. Because we'll get a lot of referrals that way, so-and-so gave me your product, I was on
Yeah.
a film set with them, and oh my God, they said I have to have it, and now I love it. So that's been happening really for the entire time we've been in the business.
we get calls. Mary Beth
Amazing.
fields all the calls, and she's become really good friends with that huge community of makeup artists and talent. And
We feel like it's almost weekly.
Yeah.
Just found out we're doing the makeup for A Star Is Born film, and that was
Yeah.
just a few weeks ago maybe.
they
but-
call us. We don't send packages. They call us, and it hasn't ended. It's really it feels really good that two Libertyville chicks can create a product that the Hollywood makeup artists covet even to this day for the last 20 years. That's pretty cool.
And how did you get this messaging? How did you get your message out to the professional makeup community?
I'll let Lisa tell that story. It's kind of a fun one.
It is, yeah. So I think it was about 6 months, after we launched the business, and Sue and I took a trip out. Actually, I think it was our first business trip. We went out to LA to it turned out to be an FX show, but we were under the impression it was a little more traditional makeup artist oriented, and it wasn't. But anyway, it was an excuse to go out to Los Angeles, and we had fun with it. There was a woman, though, there giving a seminar similar to things that you participate in, and she ran an agency that represented makeup artists and hairstylists, and it was a very well-known agency. So we listened to her speak, and it was very interesting, and we had brought a little product along with us, and at the time we had the concealer poured into like little sample jars, and it was in a very cute little bag, and I think we had several bags like that with us in case we ran into people. So we walked up to meet this woman, and amongst like other people really wanting to do the same thing. I think there were like 200
people trying to meet her.
She was fascinating, and there was a lot of makeup artists in the room wanting to, I think, know, how do I get represented by someone like you?
Yeah,
and that was really
these
part
were
of
the
her.
hot and heavy in Hollywood, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
she's
kind
huge.
of like push Sue from the back.
Yeah, we had our
and-
little bag, and Lisa's behind me pushing me past these 200 people. Finally get up to her, and we have like 2 seconds to, tell her who we are. And she just was like, oh my God, my artists have been looking for a good concealer. I'm going to be calling you. And she did.
So we sent product to her for about 15 artists, I think, at the time. And, if you were into that, relatively well-known makeup artist. And we had one artist from, I think, 15 call us, and she left a voicemail on my home phone one day, and I'll say her name, she was Joanne Gare. She's really, besides being a makeup artist, she's, in my opinion, she's like almost like a professional artist.
Yeah.
And over the years, she's done photography and different things, and she's had a couple of books published. But she also does the painted on bathing suits for the swimsuit issue of Sports Illustrated.
Oh my gosh.
So she's that person.
She's huge.
Yeah. So she became a really good friend of the brand.
Yeah.
Besides kind of like a mentor in the beginning, and real advocate of what we were doing in the products, and she loved the pigment load. She loved how it felt like it was really more of an artist medium. Like, I think she would take the product, but she didn't even care if it was in a tube. She would take it in any way we'd give it to her, and she'd put it more like on a palette board, and she'd use it that way. But she wanted the little jars so she could put it in the pocket of, whatever she was wearing, and use it that way, or pass it out to, other friends in the
so
industry.
generous.
Yeah.
They're all so generous.
Yeah.
Everyone in the, you'd think that you'd come up with some really cool way to put makeup on and you keep it to yourself. No, they don't. They share it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, look what I discovered,
Yeah.
or this product, and all of a sudden, the whole community knows all about you.
Yeah.
It goes pretty quick.
I mean, in the beginning,
So,
in the first couple of years, it was constantly, Joanne Gare recommended that I call you, and we used to say it was 6 degrees of separation to Joanne Gare, and then we were introduced to another makeup artist via Joanne, and then somebody in between them, and Terry Ponasevich, she became a really good friend of the brand. She's the one that works with Cindy, even though Joanne worked with Cindy Crawford, and just so besides the makeup artists then started, it snowballed, and they were calling, and back in the day, calling more than emailing, some emailing, now it's all email. But and then sometimes we would get direct calls from some celebrities, and they're people, well, usually not them, but requesting, like Naomi Watts, makeup artist called, somebody talking about your product, or Barrymore, so they were requesting for their next film set, and it was in the very early years, and it's still great now, but when we had absolutely no budget for marketing, it was a way that we could talk about the product, because other people were talking about the brand, the product. It wasn't only coming from us, which, because people are going to say, well, of course they're going to say great things about their products. But when you have professionals that use it every day, and they're talking about you, and they can't do their job without it, really get a lot of credibility to the brand, especially when we're so young.
So were there anything else that you did to get people to remember the name? How did you come up with the name? And
I think our name helped us, because people do remember it. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to recall, but
back in the day, when we first started, when it was internet dial-up, remember those days? The internet was also alphabeticalized, alphabetical. And so we're like, it's got to be an A. It couldn't be Acme, or what's
it was taken by the cartoon company.
Yeah. So it just kind of hit, I'm like, it's amazing. So our first company name was Amazing Concealer. because we only had the concealer.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went and trademarked that, and we found that Amazing Cosmetics was already taken.
Mm-hmm.
So we were Amazing Concealer for probably 3 years, maybe 2 years. And went in, when we started expanding the line outside of concealer, went in to look at cosmetics, and whoever had trademarked it had released it. So we grabbed it.
Yeah.
But Nordstrom's
Most
like,
people
do
loved
not change your name. That's why we're buying you. We love it. So that was when we went into Nordstrom. Yes,
Yeah.
we're like, okay, we're not changing it.
Yeah.
So
That's
I mean,
amazing.
it's a positive word.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
been a positive word attributed
Yeah.
to the company for all those years, and who doesn't kind of want to say it, and it makes you feel good, and yeah.
And we notice when you say it, you kind of smile. You can't say amazing and not amazing. You have to.
Unless you're being
you have to
sarcastic,
smile.
but
Yeah.
besides that, yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
positive,
Yeah.
upbeat word.
Yeah. And the idea that this Nordstrom buyer had actually latched onto this word and said, "Don't change it."
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And we've had people even more recently saying there's a lot of like equity with that name. So that started with some people really appreciating it and kind of supporting us with it. And over the years, we hope that some of it is due to the brand, just the brand has been around. But also, I think that it's a powerful couple of words, and in the industry, I mean, I think it's kind of a valuable trademark. And Sue and I worked really hard from the very, very beginning. We were smart enough to know that we should be trademarking, a lot of our copy and the name of our company. And when we would come up with like a line extension or something, we really thought long and hard about, is this something we want to trademark or not?
And is that from a legal background? What made you think about trademarking all this?
Lisa's brother's an attorney. That kind of helps, I think.
That was funny. In the when we first started the business, Sue's right, and so my brother was with a kind of a very well-known, highly regarded firm in Chicago, and it has other offices throughout the world. But we probably wouldn't have been working with a firm like that in the early days without having someone in your family, connected.
Yeah.
So in the very early on, we just asked for advice, and he was just kind enough to offer advice, and then it became, well, okay, we retained the firm.
Now we got to pay you.
And he throws us a bone every once in a while.
Yeah.
But
He's great.
So it was like having that early legal support really kind of tuned us into, we should be thinking that way.
Yes,
Which
that's
I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
And it was smart for you to start collaborating with people outside immediately. So many people want to start up a business and say, okay, I want to make sure that this is my own, and they're afraid to go out for collaboration.
Yeah, I agree with that. But we were pretty open to, we were smart about, I think, the legal piece. We had a really good accountant when we first started the business. So some of those like important pieces, I felt like we were pretty smart with that.
Some good advice.
Yeah, and we needed that. It was very helpful.
We also got a lot of people who wanted to give us a lot of advice that we didn't really want, and you just have to learn to, it usually comes from a good place.
Yes.
But you really have to listen to your own gut and maybe not listen to everyone all the time, because I think that Lisa and I just have always listened to, we've always felt like whoever felt strongest, that's the route we're going to go, and we still are, run the business that way. So we get advice, it's great. We can't know everything, but when it's, you really have a gut feeling about something, we've just had to stay with that. And I think that's helped us to, to stay in business and be where we are. Yeah.
And, speaking of gut feelings, what were some of the gut feelings that have really paid off for you? Some of the hunches that have paid off for you as you started your business and grown it?
What would you? We were in Nordstrom, and Lisa and I wanted to grow and expand, and so we went through an Ulta store, and we're like, yeah, I don't know that we're, it's quite there yet. There's just something about it, we just weren't really ready. So 2 years later, we walked in, we're like, okay, now we're ready. So we called them and got into Ulta. So that was in 2005. That was, the timing. Timing is sometimes.
Yeah. There's been times
should we do it now? Should we wait?
Yeah, at times you reach out to people and they say no and you're disappointed, and then, like I said earlier, you're kind of here because of the positive and the negative, and then, you'll find out later, well, maybe I'm kind of glad that didn't work out, or they'll kind of circle back with you and it'll work out.
We went to kind of a presentation in Monaco years ago. It was over probably 10
And they
years
still
ago.
run that same event, if you will, every year.
Yeah, we were again looking to grow that next phase and not sure where to go international. So there was a big international event, and gosh darn, it was in Monaco. So darn,
South of France in February.
had to go. And I'll tell you, it was 5 or 6 years later, we got a call from Marks and Spencer.
And they said, we met you in Monaco.
We met you in Monaco, and we've never forgotten you, and now we're ready to launch you.
Well,
So we're in Marks and
trip paid
Spencer.
off.
So,
Yeah.
things like that. Sometimes you just give it a go and try, and,
And that
it's
goes back to timing, though,
networking.
too.
Right.
Because that
timing.
particular buyer was with the Debenhams, a different company, but she said, I've always loved the Amazing Concealer. I met you in Monaco, and I love the product. I've been using it since that day. And we didn't go into like, well, why didn't you call us for Debenhams? It just wasn't part of the conversation. But she said, I'm with Marks and Spencer now, and we're growing our beauty hall, and I thought of you, and I want to bring you in. So,
those
things happen.
So that the Monaco trip was paid off. 10 years later, but
Yeah, right. So if someone calls and they invite us
Yeah.
to South of France again, we have to go.
yeah.
It doesn't pay off right away. So,
Yeah.
But that's a good point, though. A lot of times we're looking at ROI, we're looking at 3-month ROI, we're looking at 6-month ROI, 1 year or 2 year, and therefore you lose out on the opportunity because that was a great
Yeah.
payback.
It was.
Well, you definitely have to take all that in consideration. Run a responsible business,
Yeah.
but
It's a balance.
basically we're in a very emotional business, beauty. So sometimes all the numbers, just throw them away. Sometimes that is not, what's going to work for maybe some, industries is not going to work for beauty. Beauty is very emotional.
We've found almost any time we've gone to an event, whatever it might be, you meet somebody, you network with one person, and, there's been times when, even in Chicago, where we say, we were invited to something, do we really want to go? It's, it's January, it's a Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Do we
Or it
really
might
wanna-
cost us a couple grand
right.
to go, right? So is there
Right.
going to be an immediate ROI?
Mm-hmm.
It isn't. It doesn't always make sense.
Right.
It's again, that's where our gut is like, okay, I think we have to do this, and we do it, and 9 times out of 10, it's come back around and been worth it. So you do have to take some risks like that, and sometimes you have to take some big risks.
I have to ask. I want to get to know you a little bit better. Is there something that you could share with our audience about yourself that most people don't know?
When I was very, very young, like 10 or 11 or 12 years old, I wanted to be a cliff diver and a race car driver.
See, I didn't know that, and I've known
Did
you
you
for
not
how
know
many
that?
years? Nope.
Wow.
See?
Yeah.
Did not know
and
that.
I am now afraid of heights, so I don't even know how that all happened. But I did want to do that, and then I wanted to, like I said, be a race car driver, and I did get that kind of part of that out of my system when I turned 50. My husband bought me one of these where you go to the professional racetrack and you get to drive a race car like as fast as you possibly can, and I really now appreciate that profession because it is so scary.
What's the fastest you went?
I only went like 110. I mean, I can drive on the tollway at 90, but when you're in a track like that, in a car like that, my son did it. We did it the same day, and he got up to about 135. But we were just watching the Le Mans this past weekend.
Yeah.
They go like 200 miles an hour, and him and I both, we sat there and thought, remember when we did this? What an appreciation we have now for this skill. I mean, it is crazy. But one more thing I'll say is I do CrossFit, and at my age, my husband and I do it together. That majority of people that go to the gym we go to are probably in their 20s, some in their 30s, and nobody makes us feel bad, but I think we're sore a lot more than they are. But so I kind of feel like at my age, people might not expect me to do. I mean, people work out all the time. I get that, but it is a little bit of a hard workout. But I adapt to my age, though. I don't go crazy with it. But so maybe those things, a couple of those things.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I guess my dream retirement would be to live right on the ocean and to not own a car and to take care of animals,
Yeah.
and to have a Tiffany blue bike with a big, huge
Oh,
basket.
yeah.
And I'd be that crazy lady with with all the animals
Yeah,
with
your
the
basket and with your
Tiffany
horn
blue.
and-
Yeah,
yeah.
that's me. Yeah. Someday
That's something.
I'll be that lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge business leader, of a international cosmetics company, and you would like to be at the
The seashore, on a
seashore.
bicycle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shows real balance.
Pretty simple.
It shows that you have balance and
Yeah.
you think about things holistically as far as
Yeah.
your life and
I think living on the ocean has got to be really healthy. I've never tried it, so I'd love to try it one day.
I would love
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love the water.
yeah. Yeah, and I
sure.
can see how both of these things, they were not really supposed to be related to the company, but these sort of are. You talk about being really healthy with the ocean,
Yeah.
and you have healthy ingredients in your products,
Yeah.
and you were always a risk taker.
Which I don't really think of myself that way, but we've talked about over the years. We said, well, I guess to even start a company, that's a risk.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't like think about it in those terms. I don't.
That's why I
think when
could
we
never
started, but-
work with my husband. I don't think he'd be comfortable with some of the decisions that we've
make, yeah.
made.
Yeah.
You know, it would just be way too uncomfortable
Yeah,
for him.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be that mentality, I think.
Well, you know, they
Yeah.
say
You have to be the
leaders and
crazy
followers,
lady
yeah.
on the blue bicycle, the Tiffany blue bicycle with the, hat with the flower
Yeah,
hanging
yeah.
out, or you got to be the race
Yeah,
car driver,
yeah.
right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe they work well together.
Yeah.